Hello, welcome to When the Smoke Clears. I am the Recovery Plug. What's happening, everybody, man? I hope you guys are doing great today. I know my day is going just fine. You know what? If you would, please join me in a moment of silence, followed by the serenity prayer for the addict who still suffers, for those of us who are still bound down to that struggle of whatever it is that keeps you bound down in your daily lives in this toxic world that we live in. So if you would, please join me in a moment of silence. God, grant me serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, wisdom to know the difference. All right. Well, now that we've done that, so thank you, man. Thank you for joining me in this beautiful day today, this segment of my video podcast. Thank you very much. But today, what I wanted to, what the energies were, stirring up in my mind and in my heart today to share something, right? And what I want to do is I want to share a little bit about one of the things that I do in my recovery, and because I do quite a few things, to be honest with you. And one of the practices that I'm involved in is the Dharma recovery. And so that is not your traditional 12-step program. I mean, I've been involved in those before, and good programs. You know what I mean? I believe every program is good in its own way, right? So at this point in my life, now that just to kind of give you a little, a little mini background, I guess, is my journey today in my life is I follow a spiritual path today, versus other structured type things. You know what I mean? The way I used to do it, and the way I used to practice and follow different types of things. Right? Could be religion, could be just any sect that practices whatever. Right? But for the greater good. And anyway, one of the things that I do in my spiritual journey today is practice Dharma recovery, and it has been very, very helpful in my personal journey. So I wanted to kind of, I've talked about this a few times, maybe one or two times in previous videos, but today I'm going to go kind of get into the Dharma recovery book a little bit. And I think on one of my last a few videos back, I guess I kind of introduced the Dharma recovery book and kind of just gave y'all the preface and the introduction to it, right? So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to get into, and I'm going to do a little bit of reading and on where to begin, okay? And this is by no means is this the way or whatever. It's just one of the ways. You know what I mean? There are many vehicles that you can get into to obtain and get into that realm of recovery, positivity, and spirituality. And this is just one of them. So this is just one of the ones that I use, that I'm using right now in my current and present day, right? So, but anyway, I'm going to get started, and after I do a little bit of the reading, I might stop during a couple of paragraphs, and just if something kicks out at me that I need to kind of elaborate on, then I'll do that. But if not, then after the reading, then I'll just go into a small summary of what we read, and then kind of just elaborate on my own personal strengths and hopes, and how that whatever I read relates to me, and then and we'll go from there, see where the energy takes us, right? So anyway, where to begin? It says that how can we use Buddhism for our recovery? It goes, outlined below are the areas that we suggest you concentrate your energy on while walking this path. We come to understand the Four Noble Truths and use them as a guide for a path of recovery. This program doesn't ask us to believe in anything other than our own potential to awaken up, and just allowing ourselves to believe that it's possible, or even might be possible. Through experiential learning, we realize that our efforts can make a difference, and this is a way to recovery. Then we make a decision to repeatedly commit to this path. And I like that. And it's just like any other program that it's giving you this kind of, in a sense, foundation, and then it says that you need to commit to repeatedly doing something. Okay, so just kind of wanted to throw that in there. It goes on to say, as we learn about the Four Noble Truths, including the Eightfold Path that leads to the end of suffering caused by addiction, we put these principles into practice in our lives. This book presents an introduction to these truths and Eightfold Paths as a guide to non-harming way of being in the world. It is both a philosophy and a plan of action. And that, just in that paragraph there, just so that it talks about Four Noble Truths and Eightfold Path. That's something that will be elaborated and interpreted later on in the book. And it's just, like I said, it's a foundation of what they're principles, basically, of they kind of guide you in that process of recovery. And not only that, but in the process of your life, you know what I mean? Just whatever it is that those adversities are, and how to maintain a beautiful, prosperous, and spiritual life, you know what I mean? And okay, so it goes on to say that meditation is an essential part of the program. This book contains some basic instructions for you so you can start right away. Most of us have found it very helpful to attend meetings that include an opportunity to practice meditation with others. A key to this program is establishing a regular meditation practice in or outside of meetings. This will help us begin the process of investigating our own minds, our reactivity, and our behavior. We look deeply at the nature and causes of our suffering so we can find a path to freedom that's based on authentic knowledge. I'm going to read that last little bit. Let me go back a couple of sentences, because this thing says, a key to this program is establishing a regular meditation practice in and outside of meetings. This will help us begin the process of investigating our own minds, our reactivity, and our behavior. We look deeply at the nature and causes of our own suffering so we can find a path to freedom that's based on authentic self-knowledge. And you know what? That right there is just beautiful, man. That to me really tugs at me, because what this is telling me is and I recognize this in other programs, right? In 12-step programs, to be like exactly what I'm talking about is that 12-step program, right? Because that's the programs that I've used before. And in those programs, there's a part in those programs that tells you that you're at one point going to have to do a personal inventory. And this is what this is saying. You know what I mean? It's telling you that you have to you have to begin a process of investigating your own mind and the reactivity and our behavior. You know what I mean? So that's basically taking inventory of your life and the suffering. You know what I mean? Predominantly the suffering, in a sense. You know what I mean? Because ultimately you want to figure out why it is that you're suffering. Because ultimately the answer to getting out of the suffering is in the suffering. You know what I'm saying? So, it's like, if you, let's just throw something out there, for example, if you, say you're in trouble at work, and you're in trouble because you've gotten to work late a few times, right? And it's kind of like this repetitive thing, and they know, like, oh man, oh Joe, man, he's always late, man. What's up with that? Well, the adversity there, the suffering there is that you're not showing up on time. Therefore, you're putting your job at risk and your finances at risk. So that's suffering, right? And ultimately, you know why you're suffering, because you're either not setting an alarm clock, you're sleeping too late, maybe you're, out partying or whatever. I mean, you know what to fix so that this doesn't happen. That's what it means when you're having to take an inventory of your suffering and your life and how your mindset is and all of that kind of stuff. It can get deep, you know what I mean? But, at this point, I'm not going to get all deep into it like that, because, like I said, it's just an introduction to show you, okay, how do we do this, right? So anyway, I just wanted to kind of throw that out there because of what it said there. But anyway, I'm going to go down a little bit more here and read a little bit more. It says, the subsequent chapters discuss 3 aspects of the program, the 3 jewels of Buddhism, the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, as a way of developing wisdom, ethical conduct, and spiritual practice that leads to recovery. We hope that groups and individuals will use this book to customize their own course of recovery. We offer some suggestions in that spirit. You're invited to take what works for you and leave the rest. And it goes on to say, at the end of each section are inquiries for self-exploration. These questions can be used as part of a formal process with a mentor, wise friend, a group, as tools to explore a specific life situation, as guides for a daily self-iniquity practice, or as meetings discussion topics. A wise friend or a mentor can be of great help in deepening your understanding, and we encourage you to reach out to people you encounter at the meeting. So, okay, so that right there was kind of sums up a really a good recovery process, because it says here that the 3 jewels, which was the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Okay, well, let me kind of break that down for you a little bit. In kind of a really quick crunch, what that means is, and what that means is the Buddha means you. Okay, Buddha is referring to you and me. We are Buddhas in ourselves, because we are a reflection of that higher power, that higher energy, right? Okay, now, and the Dharma is the practice, okay? And in any 12-step, in any process of recovery, there's going to be a process. There's going to be a practice. This is not something that you just do one time and you're okay, I'm good. No, this is something that you're going to have to get in there and you're going to be in the trenches. This is something that you're going to work at. This is something that you're going to study. This is something that you're going to do on a daily basis. But for the good, you know what I mean? Don't take that the wrong way. Don't take it like, oh my God, I got to do all of this stuff. No, it's just take it as, hey man, you know what? I get to do all this stuff. This is great for me. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so that is the Dharma. And then, and the Dharma means that includes what we talked about earlier, the 4 Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path. And we'll, in another video, we'll kind of go over all of that in depth. And then, but the other part here, the Sangha, is the community. It's your people, the people that you meet at the meetings, the people that you meet in videos like this. You know what I mean? That's your Sangha, because ultimately, just like they say in the meetings, if you do nothing, then guess what? Nothing happens. But what you want to do, if you're going to do something, why not do something that somebody already has done and has progressed at it? You know what I mean? Why not follow a system that is proven and has yet to fail? You know what I mean? So I believe that, to me, is really cool. And I really connect to that. And I hope that somebody out there connects to that too. And that's what I'm talking about, man. That's that energy, dude. You know what I mean? That's that energy that rolls around. You know what I mean? No matter how far away you are, no matter where you're looking at it at this video, that's the connection that we make, you and I. You know what I'm saying? That is the Sangha. And that is the Dharma at work through the Sangha. You know what I mean? So that's beautiful to me. And anyway, yeah. So that is, you know, part of the Dharma recovery. And let me see where. Let me see. See what else. Okay, let me keep on going a little bit more. Okay, this says supportive friendships are integral part of the practice. The question may bring up shame, guilt, or sadness, or they may possibly activate trauma. It could be beneficial to set up a self-care strategy ahead of time. The intent of the questions is to deepen our practice so we can experience more freedom, not to bring us more suffering. Our path is not a checklist, but rather a practice in which we choose where and how to invest our energy in a way that is both wise and compassionate toward ourselves and others. This journey involves our lives greatly. The practice of the Eightfold Path helps us develop insight and compassion as we begin to look into the causes and conditions that led to our own sufferings with addiction. This path doesn't have an end. There will continue to be suffering and challenges in life. This path offers a way to transform the suffering caused by our habitual reactions to these challenges and an end to the illusion of escape we tried to find in substances or behaviors. It's a way to break our chains with our own hands, that it's a path of deep freedom and refuge. That to me, man, is gives me chills, you know what I mean? Because I know myself personally, you know, I could remember vividly the day that energy took presence in myself, that energy finally awoken in me. And I could remember, man, it was like something like moved this transparent curtain out of the way, and this energy was just talking to me. You know what I mean? It sounds kind of fictional, but it that's how it felt. It was like this energy was speaking to me, but in a telepathy type of way. Like I could understand what it was telling me to do, and it told me, "Come, follow me. This is what you got to do." And ever since that day, I have been on a spiritual path, and I haven't driven my life, not one time since that day. You know what I mean? And to me, that's a beautiful thing. You know what I mean? To be able to just sit back and just watch. You know what I mean? It's really cool. You know what I mean? I don't drive my life right now, and I haven't been for a while. You know what I mean? Everything I do is connected to my meditation process and what the energy is telling me to do. And you know, by the grace of my higher power, by the grace of that good, you know, divine energy, it has allowed me to move and do things that I wouldn't normally have done prior. You know what I mean? There's no way in hell that I could be sitting here telling you that, hey man, you know, a few years back, would I be telling you, you know, I'm going to be sitting here doing a video podcast about recovery, addiction, and spirituality. You know what I mean? I would have laughed at you. You know what I mean? And there's no words to express the feeling that I felt and that I feel today still, that I'm grateful that I get an opportunity to do something like that. You know what I'm saying? And where that energy takes me, I have no idea, but I know that I'll be there. You know what I mean? And I know that I'm in good hands. You know what I'm saying? That's the thing, is that I don't have any doubt whatsoever. That to me is beautiful. Where before, man, when I was in that world of darkness, man, in that world of addiction, in that world of it's just of darkness, that, you know, I had the control of the wheel, and I was always cautious about any turn that I made, man. But you know what? No matter how slow I drove that car or how fast, I wound up in the same spot, smashed up against that brick wall. Just when I would look back, anytime I took a look one way or the other, I could just see this destructive path that I left behind. And it could have been anything as, you know, lying to somebody or physically hurting somebody or, selling somebody some drugs, just different stuff, you know what I mean? The list goes on, right? And we're not going to get into all that, but the point is that I'm trying to make here is that spiritual connection is what drove me to where I'm at today. And I can honestly tell you that any of the things that I did prior in any other program and any other type of lifestyle that I was indulging in, none of it ever gave me that sense of freedom like the spiritual journey that I'm on today. You know what I mean? Yeah, there were some times that they did give me some sobriety. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna lie. Heck, after one program, I got 10 years of sobriety after that program. But then I relapsed. You know what I mean? I relapsed, and I relapsed for 5 years, and this time around, it's a totally different sense of seeing things, of feelings, of, I don't know. It's just totally different, and I just know that it's a different path and I know that I'm not driving it. You know what I mean? I know I'm not. It's not me that's making these decisions. Yes, I'm making decisions to talk about something on a video or go to some meeting, but that's because I meditate on it and the energies are telling me, okay, let's do this today. Let's try and help this person today, or let's try and talk to this, on this video, we'll try to elaborate this message today and see if we can't connect with somebody's energies out there. Because ultimately, man, everybody is seeking that in today's world. They're seeking that affirmation. They're seeking that knowledge or that feeling of being accepted, of being heard, of being loved, of being part of something. You know what I mean? Because I can tell you through experience, man, being on a one-way journey by yourself isn't very good. You know what I mean? And I just wanted to kind of, throw all that out there today to see what's up, and hopefully that this reach somebody and talk to somebody today, and maybe my energy's connected with your energies today, and that's the whole purpose of doing these videos, right? Is to help somebody. But anyway, I guess that's gonna be it for this segment, man. And if you would please, hit that subscribe button, shoot me a thumbs up. Shoot me a comment, hit the bell. I'd greatly appreciate it, man. Just know that when you do that, you'll be helping out another veteran, another homeless person, another person dealing with PTSDs, childhood traumatic experiences, drug addiction, alcoholism, suicidal thoughts, depression, anger issues, sadness, grief, all of those types of things, my friends, because I have dealt with all of those things at one point in time in my life. And guess what, man? I know a way out, and my way out could be your way out. So anyway, man, thank you for listening and thank you for your time. I greatly appreciate it. God bless you guys. I guess until the next time on When the Smoke Clears, I am the Recovery Plug.